Hi, I am Sherry Riley. I am an empowerment speaker, a high performance life coach, and an award winning author. And I want to thank the Mohawk Group for recognizing the importance and the necessity for personal development. So, my mission during our time together today is to 100% change your mindset and shift your paradigm. Because in order to truly plan a path forward, it is critical that you are intentional about thinking and acting differently. So I live by the creed that personal development fuels our professional growth. And I have a mindset that as professionals, we automatically we focus on our like professional development. We make sure that we are in line with new innovation, new design, what's the latest in architecture. We are critical in making sure we are committed to IT, diversity, and all of these things are critical and necessary. But the core of what really advances our professional development is our personal growth. See, I have my dear friend and mentor, John Maxwell, is the number one leadership expert. And he's recognized internationally for this. It's not him, Forbes, Success, Fortune. Those are the entities that have recognized him as the number one leadership expert in the world. And last year, in John's New York Times bestselling book, Leadership, he pulled an excerpt from my book, Exponential Living. Stop spending 100% of your time on 10% of who you are. He featured an excerpt from that book in his leadership book. And my book, Exponential Living, is really focused on personal development and how it fuels our professional growth. This year, in his latest New York Times bestseller, The Leader's Greatest Return, he actually interviewed me for this book. Because what the number one leadership expert in the world recognizes is that personal development is leadership. I'm going to say that again. Personal development is leadership. So guys, I just want to take a moment and I want to go down memory lane with you for just a minute. Remember the 90s? Yes. So in the 90s, I was responsible for the marketing of some of the biggest artists in the world, Toni Braxton, TLC, and also this unknown teenager. Well, one day, this teenager walks into my office. He breaks down crying in my arms. Sherry, no one at this record label believes in me because of this stupid acne and my voice is changing. And the reality is, guys, he was right. So for the next couple of years, me, him, and his mom led the charge to break him as an artist. And that unknown teenager is now the global superstar, Usher. Now, right before we released his breakout record, You Make Me Want to Leave the One. Come on. Yeah, I know you started singing, right? Yeah, that's my jam. You know it. Yeah, that song, yes. Well, right before we released his breakout record, You Make that one, I knew that it was time for me to resign and start my own business. But I also knew that I could never work with Usher. I knew that he needed my friendship more than my marketing expertise. So as we sat in my office lobby and I held his hand and I shared with him, Usher, it's time for me to resign and start my own business. And he jumps up. Yes, Sherry. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Now you can work with me exclusively. But I had to share with him that I wasn't able to work with him. Guys, how many of you have been in a place in your life when you had to make a decision that you knew was going to cost you money, opportunity, and career advancement, right? And when I tell you, people thought I was crazy not to work with Usher. And when I say people, I mean me. But I promise you, that one right decision allowed him and I to form a bond of a brother and a sister. But more importantly, it allowed me to get crystal clear on the fact that I am to serve as an empowerment speaker, high performance life coach, and award-winning author. See, every month in O Magazine, that great and wise philosopher, Oprah, she shares what she knows for sure. And what I know for sure, guys, is that when we get to times of uncertainty, it is critical that we have to determine, what will you give up to go up? What will you give up to go up? So I want to share with you now the 5 keys that I know move us forward in times of uncertainty. And right now, with the new path of blazing this new path to a new future, to a different future, we are all in massive times of uncertainty. So I want to share the 5 keys. And the first key is our perspective. What is your vision? I love what Andy Stanley says, is many people die after living a long life with their dreams never fulfilled because they don't have vision to guide them through the process. Vision is born in the soul of a person who is consumed with the tension between what is and what could be. Guys, what is your vision? See, I'm an empowerment speaker. Guys, my business, my core business is me speaking. So it was directly impacted. My income was directly impacted by these times of uncertainty that we're in. And I know, just like many of you, your businesses have been impacted. I mean, the truth of the matter is your sales have declined. The way that you engage as designers and architects is a very personal experience with your customers and clients. Well, that has to be reimagined. I mean, just the design in and of itself has to be reimagined now because of social distancing and physical distancing. I mean, many of you may even be struggling with just the core truth of, how do I keep my business? So in these times of uncertainty, we have to focus not on what we're losing, but what does this make possible? What does this make possible? See, that's the perspective. When you really think about your vision, you have to lock in on what is possible in these times of uncertainty. So as we think about our perspective and how things are shifting, I want you to spend time just really getting clear, but filtering your perspective through, again, not what you're missing, but what does this new reality make possible? And the second key to living in your power is ownership. Ownership. What are you focused on? What are you focused on? I want to tell you about another time of uncertainty in my life. It was December 2014. Second week of December 2014, I did the most courageous thing I've done in my life. I literally removed 80% of everything off my to-do list. Now, I would love to say that it was some intention and strategy, and no. Guys, it was out of total desperation, because up until this point, I had spent 7 years writing the book proposal for my book, Exponential Living. And let me just explain a little bit about a book proposal. So in order to get an agent and then subsequently a book publishing deal, you have to submit a book proposal. Now, this isn't the book. This is, for all intents and purposes, is a kind of expanded outline, right? So up until this point, it had taken me 7 years to do my book outline. So in December 2014, out of desperation, I literally took 80% of everything off my to-do list. And I left 3 things: get a publishing deal, increase my speaking engagements, and lose 25 pounds. Those were the 3 things that I left. Now, January 7th, 2015, about 4 weeks later, I turned in my book proposal to my agents, and they literally called me within 15 minutes and said, "Oh my God, Sherry, you found your voice." And 4 weeks later, by mid-February, I had 4 publishers that I was meeting with that wanted my book deal. Guys, listen to the timeline. Listen to the timeline. What had taken me 7 years, I got done in 8 weeks. Why? Because I took ownership of what was most important. I honed in on what I was going to focus on. See, I love what Brene Brown says. She says, you either walk inside your story and own it, or you stand outside your story and hustle for your worthiness. Guys, what are you focused on? What is here in these unprecedented times? If you really want to have blaze this new path forward, you're going to have to really get authentic and true about what is most important to you. What are you going to take ownership of? What are you going to focus on? The third key to how to power forward in times of uncertainty is our plan, which only comes through wisdom, because the plan is so very critical. And I'm not talking about that 60-page business plan, not even that 4-page executive summary. I'm literally talking about identifying what are the 3 most important next steps. So you got your 3 most important goals. This is what you're focused on. Now, what are the most important next steps? See, remember, we're planning a path forward, right? So when you really get clear on your 3 most important next steps, that's when you're able to identify when an opportunity is actually a distraction. When an opportunity is a distraction. Let me share again, John Maxwell, good friend, mentor. When he first started his live simulcast, and I, as a founding partner of the John Maxwell team, I was able to partner with John and basically have the only Atlanta proper location for his simulcast. Okay, that is an amazing opportunity, right? That is an amazing opportunity. I mean, I get to partner with John Maxwell. So Sherry Riley, John Maxwell, co-branding. I get to keep all the money. Great opportunity. Guys, it was a distraction that I decided not to do. Now, why was it a distraction? Great opportunity, but remember my 3 most important things. Increase my speaking engagements, secure a publishing deal, and lose 25 pounds. So if my core 3, and one of them is to secure more speaking engagements, every time I went to individuals and marketed and promoted this event, who was I promoting as the speaker? John Maxwell. Every time I went to a corporation and would talk about sponsorship opportunities and partnership opportunities, I was talking about a John Maxwell event, not Sherry Riley. So this amazing opportunity was a distraction. Guys, when we want to hone in on our plan in wisdom to really power forward, especially in times of uncertainty, we have to get crystal clear on when an opportunity is a distraction. And we have to really dive into how do we differentiate that? Well, it goes back to that first key, our perspective and our vision. We have to know what we're locked in on. What does this make possible? Then we're able to really get clear on the things that we need to take off of our to-do list and what we really focus on. And when we do that, then we get crystal clear in wisdom on what we should focus on, but also what opportunities are actually distractions. And the 4th key is the engagement. The engagement. What adjustments do you need to make to fully implement? Guys, this is the most important key, especially in times of uncertainty. I have a 13-year-old daughter. And when she was about 6 years old, she started playing lacrosse, right? So on her very first lacrosse game, it was early on a Saturday morning, and the field was about 40 minutes from our home. So got up first thing Saturday morning, and when we were driving to the field, one of my good friends called me. And so I let it go to voicemail because I said, hey, I'll just call her when I get to the field, when the game's going. So we get to the field, and it's a football field. So my daughter is out in the field. I'm up in the stands, right? So I can see the field. Everything is clear. And so I had my iPhone. I had my corded buds in my ear, my AirPods in. And so I've got the phone in my lap, and I'm watching. And I probably talked to my girlfriend for about a quarter and a half. My daughter wins her first ever lacrosse game. And I am so excited. I mean, my daughter is very affectionate. I mean, she's 13, 5'4", still cuddles in my arms. I love it, right? So I know my daughter is going to run and jump in my arms. So I'm waiting, I'm getting positioned. I'm on the field. I'm waiting for her to come and run to me. And my daughter comes up to me. She stops right in front of me. She drops her head and says, Mommy, I can't believe you're on the phone for my first ever lacrosse game. And she turns and she walks and joins the rest of her team. My ego is like, oh my God. Like my ego is like, little girl, I just drove 40 minutes on a Saturday morning to bring yourself to this game. My ego is like, there's 3 parents in the stands. I'm one of them. My ego is like, okay, coach, come on, finish up with the team. Because my ego is like, I need to talk to that little one, right? So she finishes up with her coach, and my ego is like, oh yeah, come on, little girl. She walks up to me. I scoop my baby up and I hug her oh so tightly. And I say to my baby, sweetheart, Mommy will never be on the phone again when there's something important to you. Because what my baby taught me in that moment is that my presence was not enough. I needed to be present. Guys, in order for us to really engage, we've got to be present. I've sat in presentations with this a neuroscientist out of Stanford. There's been numerous studies shown that multitasking is a lie. It's a lie. Guys, the brain can only focus on one thing at a time, but it's so brilliant that it does it like this. Like the brain just jumps back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So we think we're multitasking, but we're really not. The brain can only focus on one thing. It just does it like this. So guys, we are not our most productive. We are not fully engaged, and we are not truly living in the fullness of our power when we are not present. And it's so very critical. What adjustments do you have to make so that you can get present, so you can fully engage? Because working through these unprecedented times to really blaze a path forward, it's going to take all of you. And that comes from your presence. And the last key to power forward in times of uncertainty is the reward. And that comes from consistency. What are the triggers that are keeping you from being consistent? So guys, I know at the time that we have, I've gone through these 5 keys pretty quickly, but I want to gift everyone an audio version of this talk of the 5 keys. And it's called Living Your Power. And it's the 5 keys: perspective, ownership, wisdom, engagement, and reward. So I want you to text my name, SHERI, Sherry, to 770-637-0081. You're then going to be prompted to give your name, to text your name, and then you'll be prompted to text your email address. So once you text my name, Sherry, SHERI, then you're going to text your first and last name and your email address, and you'll receive an email with the audio where I really go in and dive deeper into the 5 keys: perspective, ownership, wisdom, engagement, and reward. So guys, as we close, I want to leave you with this. The most important thing that we have to do during times of uncertainty to really blaze a path forward, to blaze a path that is filled with power, is we have to broaden our definition of success. We have to broaden our definition of success. Guys, the one thing that this unprecedented time has taught me is that our definition of success has been narrowed down to how many zeros we have in our bank account and how many commas we have between those zeros. What letters are in front or behind our names, what titles we have. But those aren't the most important things. But more importantly, they're not the only thing that we need to put into our definition of success. See, in addition to achieving greatness in my business and professionally, my definition of success is broad enough to include 15 years of marriage. It's broad enough to include being able to volunteer at my daughter's school. It's broad enough to include watching Blue Bloods on Friday night because that's what my mother enjoys watching. Guys, it's broad enough to include getting 8 hours of sleep consistently. Yes, I was that fool that said, I'll sleep when I die. That was me. Guys, even our computers and our phones have to reboot in order for them to work properly. So guys, in times of uncertainty, one of the things that is truly amplified even more are our fears. Our fears are amplified. And that's one of the most powerful things that will keep us from powering forward. Fear will grip us. Fear will make us completely not be able to lock in on those 5 keys. And so I love what Marianne Williamson says as I close. She says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about you shrinking so others won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. And it's not just in some of us, it's in all of us. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. And as we are liberated from our own fears, we unconsciously and automatically liberate others. Guys, in order for us to truly power forward in these times of uncertainty, we have to be focused on what we control. We have to be focused on what does this make possible? And the most critical one is we have to live in our power. I am Sherry Riley, and I would love for you to join my exponential living community, going to sherryriley.com. And I would love to stay connected on LinkedIn at sherryriley.com, DOTCOM. Thank you so much, Mohawk Group, and I appreciate your time.